Welcome back. Sometime after Waves released the L3, they followed it up with this one, the L3LL. LL here standing for low latency. Now the latency in the normal L3 is due to its phase coherency, the fact that it's totally linear phase. This one is not linear phase. It relies on a minimum phase crossover design, but its performance is actually pretty close to that of the L3, and we'll see that in demonstrations that I'll show you in a little while. But first, let's have a look around the interface. Now this one looks slightly different to the Ultra Maximizer version of the ordinary L3. It's probably a little more sleek. The profile section's moved over to the right here instead of being above. And the IDR section looks quite smart, but really it's exactly the same. It's the same 5-band peak limiter masquerading in this nice simple interface. So not much need to go back over this. It's all the same parts, the dedicated release master control here, and all the usual limiter parts that we're now quite used to. So I'll close that one off, make it inactive, and make this one active. Let's have a look at the latency of this plugin. And we can see here it's only 67 samples, so compare that to this one over here, which is over 3,500 samples, and there's only 4 samples being incurred by this time adjuster here, so that's not going to have much effect. So 3,500 samples versus just 67. So quite simply now, this is much more usable in a mixing situation. So as well as in a mastering situation, you can put it over mix subgroups or, drum groups, vocal groups, whatever you need. It's going to work great for that. Now, as you can see, this one, apart from the color scheme, looks very much like the L3. Let's put them next to each other, and we're going to do some tests on the sound differences. So not much room here, but let's go for that. So the controls are literally the same, and in fact, so much the same. Check this out. I'm going to close that off, and let's just do some crazy things. Let's drag this one down here. Let's do some things there. We'll push that over there. I'm going to make a whole bunch of changes. Okay, so some crazy patterns and shapes. Now using Pro Tools copy and paste commands for settings, just turn that on, which is Command-Shift-C for copy. I've now copied that. I'll open up this one, which is at its Unity default setting. Command-Shift-V on the Mac, and I can paste the setting over there. So the two plugins are literally interchangeable, even to the point where I've got this one open now and it's the L3LL multi. I'll come over here and I'll say I want to swap that out for a normal L3 multi. And this completely different plugin comes in with those settings intact. So complete preset integration between the two. I'll go back to an LL because that's what we're here to show. I'll just reset that back to its full reset status and this one back to his full reset status. And if you recall, I've got this time adjuster set to phase reverse. So this is a null test. I'm going to play the same program material through both. And let's see what we get. This one's muted. I'll unmute that. So in a perfect cancellation scenario, we should get nothing. No, but instead we get this kind of phasey and quite low effect. Let's just see how loud this should be. I'll mute one side. And unmute. Right, so it's not actually cancelling much at all, but something's going on because it's all very, very phasey. Here's something else we can try. Let's hit this quite hard. Let's say 15. And this one. Right, he's on 15. Now I'm actually going to be smashing them quite hard. And let's see how they sound at that level. All right, still quite phasey. Let's go further than that. 20 on that side. 20 on that side. Now, I'm going to turn this one off and let's just hear how much damage we're doing. So again, we're going much louder than you would conventionally do, but trying to make a point. Right, so I'm smashing that one heavily. Let's see how these two sound together. Right, so there's that same phasing effect is there, but let's just do some muting and unmuting. Now from a control surface, I'm going to mute the second one, and on the fly, I'm just going to mute and unmute both. So we're going to do some A-B comparisons and see what the sound difference is. So we really are smashing this hard. We're not trying to make it sound good here. We're just trying to see if there's differences in how bad they sound, if you know what I'm saying. So let's go again. Now, I don't want to talk too much through it, so just watch these mute and unmute lights here and you'll see which one we're listening to. Okay, now I don't know about you guys, but I can hear maybe subtle differences. Maybe it's just a placebo effect. I don't know. But the differences are actually very, very slim, I think. And truth be known, no one's going to know which one you're using. So from a purist perspective, perhaps the standard L3 is the one you want to use. But certainly from the perspective of practicality, the L3LL seems to be a smarter choice a lot of the time. And in a way, you shouldn't feel compromised that you're using that one. But I will show you one more thing. Switch over to here. Now I want to clear this attenuation setting over here. So it's showing me now that it's seen a peak of negative 10.2. We'll clear that back to 0. Let's open this one and he's back at 0. Okay, good. Now understanding that both of them are completely reset, they've both got the same settings on them, but they've both got their thresholds set to 20 dB. Let's see what happens. I'm going to play the same section of music. I'm going to open up this one. And he's telling me that he saw no more than 10.2 dB of gain reduction. Now we'll open up this one. And this one's telling me that he saw no more than 7.3 dB. Play a bit more. I'll clear that. 6.9, 7.2. That's as far as he's going to go. This one for the same section. I'll clear it. Now he's down at 9.9. So I guess what I'm saying here is that we're certainly protected with a ceiling of 0, but the amount of attenuation each of these plugins is doing is slightly different. That's going to be due 100% to the way the crossovers are doing their thing, which is the same reason why even when they're up at 0 doing nothing and not even squeezing at all, they still don't sound the same. It's to do with the sound of linear phase crossovers versus minimum phase crossovers. Now, in a practical sense, the difference is virtually nothing, as we showed when we were muting on and off there. It was very hard to hear the difference between the two, or even to be able to reliably say which one was which, even if one may have sounded slightly better or worse than the other one. But I suppose purely from a scientific level, it does show that the crossovers are affecting the sound. Anyway, that's the L3 and now the L3LL. And next up, we're going to have a look at the daddy of them all, the L316.